Hi,
Alrighty.
everybody.
Oh, go ahead.
Welcome. We're happy to have you here. My name's Miriam Meadow with Oakland Public Library, and today we're hosting Austin Wagers, who is recruitment and exam specialist for the Department of General Services in the state of California. Austin is going to talk about how to get a state job in California and will be available to answer all of our questions today. We're here till 1:30, so we have plenty of time. All right, go ahead, Austin. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Like she already said, we'll be doing a how to get a state job presentation today. And so if you have any questions, we'll have a discussion portion at the end. But like Miriam already said, you could post your questions in the chat as well. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So we'll go over an intro of the Department of General Services and what we kind of do for the state, and then we'll go through how to get a state job step by step from setting up your CalCareers account to applying to taking the exam. We'll go over your application documents that you need when you go to apply. And then at the end, I'll go ahead and send you guys, you guys will have my email and the recruitment email so you guys can stay connected with us. And then our socials will be listed there as well. And then, like I said, we'll have a discussion where you guys can ask any questions that you have. And we're here for an hour and a half, so we should have plenty of time. So DGS has about 29 different programs and client agencies. We have 4,500 employees and a budget of 1.3 billion. Currently, we have 19 job postings available, but that usually fluctuates month by month. Most months we have anywhere between 70 to 80 positions available because we're always expanding and always hiring new people, and we're always promoting people too. So we have our procurement and acquisition solution department, real estate management. We have jobs in printing and design, positions in administration, positions in engineering. Um, if there's a position out there, I'm sure that we hire for it. We do a lot of different stuff. So how to get a state job in just 4 simple steps. We'll go through step 1, which is creating your CalCareers account. So entering all your contact information and then logging into your CalCareers account. You'll probably want to write down whatever email and password that you use somewhere, just so you don't forget. And then after creating your account, you can search for positions using either keywords, classification. So the state uses classifications like associate governmental program analyst, which handles a lot of like the HR work that we do. And so if you know a classification you're interested in, you can search that. You'll be able to review job postings, the duty statement, and the classification specification. The job posting will tell you what the general idea of what the job is, and then the duty statement will go through the day by day of what you'd be doing in that position. So then you can get a good idea on what you would be doing. And then you'll want to, when you're creating your application, you'll want to relay what you've done in the past and how it relates to the current duty statement for the job that you're applying for. And then the classification specification is there'll be a link in the job posting, and we'll go over that later. And that'll kind of help you determine whether or not you meet the minimum qualifications for the classification. So you'll review all your documents, you'll create your application template, which is the STT 678 form, and then you'll upload your relevant documents. And we'll go over those in more detail as well. And then step 3, you'll submit that application, and it's all online. And then you'll check your CalCareers account for messages and new job postings. The same thing goes for the exam. So every classification you want to apply for with the state, whether it's like an office tech or a stationary engineer or an associate governmental program analyst, there is a corresponding exam which can also be found on CalCareers. And most of these exams are just self-assessment. So it'll just ask you how many years of experience you have doing a task, and you'll just respond accordingly and truthfully, and then it'll give you a score at the end. So step 1, you'll create your CalCareers account. So when you go to CalCareers, in the top right, you'll see a create account and log in. So if you don't already have a login, you'll go ahead and create your account. You'll be a new user, and then or current user, you can just log in. And then here on the when you're creating your CalCareer account, You'll do your email, your name, middle name, any of the asterisk fields are fields you have to fill out, and then you can ignore the fields that aren't asterisk. And then you'll want to make sure that you check the box that certifies that all the information that you've entered is truthful, and then you'll create your account. And then after creating an account, you'll start searching for positions that interest you. So within your CalCareers account, there's a Find Jobs button on the top taskbar. And it'll take you to a form where you can start searching for keywords. You can search for departments that interest you. So if you're looking for like a scientist position working in agriculture, then you can try to pinpoint departments like the Department of Agriculture or the Department of Foods and Agriculture. There's lots of different departments that you might find that you'd like to work for. And if you know the job code of the position, you could enter that there as well to find a specific position. And we'll go over that a little bit too.
And Austin, will we be able to share this slide deck with anybody who's registered?
Yeah, we can send it to them at the end, or I can
Awesome.
send it to you and you can share it with them.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
And also, if for some reason you guys have questions that you forget to ask or that don't get answered by the end of this presentation, you'll have our email too, so you can always reach out to us by email with any questions that you have. We can also help with your resume or just help you find classifications that might interest you. So definitely reach out. So then when you start to search for, after filling out that field, you'll be taken to the job search results and you'll be able to see all the positions available through the keyword or the department that you searched for. And so at the top, you'll see this, the position title or the classification, which is stationary engineer. And then underneath, there'll be a working title. So that's kind of like what the keywords go off of. So if there's an AGPA that has a working title of HR analyst, and then you'll see the job control number. And the job control number right under that is specific to each position. So if you hear about a position that interests you, make sure to save the job control number so you can search it later. And then you'll be able to see the department it's with. And once you're ready to view the posting, you just click on the classification title. It's usually in blue and underlined, and it links to the job. And once you're in the job posting, you'll see the department again, the JC, the classification. You'll want to read the job posting thoroughly. The posting will provide you with everything that I already said, especially the salary. And the way the salaries work at the state, they're in ranges. So you'll always come in at the bottom of the range. Unless you have a high amount of experience, you can ask to have a higher salary. But most people come in at the bottom of the range. And then every year you get a raise depending on your union and your appointment date. So every year everyone gets a raise on their appointment date, and then you also get a bonus based on what your contract is with the union. So it's usually anywhere between 5 to 7% raise every year, which is really nice working for the state. And then underneath all of that, you'll have like a short description of the position, sometimes a short description of the department. You'll go over the minimum requirements, and then you'll see there's a link to the duty statement, like I mentioned earlier. That'll be where you want to read through what you do day to day, and then try to, if you've done some of that stuff in the past, you want to relay that on your resume so the hiring manager can see that you've already done a lot of what you'd be required to do in the position. And as we scroll down, there'll be some application instructions, who can apply, how to apply. The best way to usually apply is just through CalCareers, although you can mail in your applications and sometimes email them. So whatever works best for you if you don't, if you'd rather mail it in, but usually that takes longer. And then there'll be some, right above that, there was some desirable qualifications. Let me go back. Thought it was on this slide too, sorry. So there'll be some desirable qualifications that the hiring manager will list. And I guess we did include them, but you want to make sure that those are on your resume as well, because that's what they're looking for in a candidate and usually what they're scoring your application based off of. When you're interviewing for the state, they take your application and then kind of give it a score out of like 20. And so they'll have scoring criteria based on the desirables that they list, and they'll grade their application off that. So if they say they're looking for a candidate with office experience or clerical experience and you don't list it on your resume, you might like lose 5 points for that section. And then whoever has like the highest scores on the resume will move on to interviews. And then interviews are kind of structured the same way. Every question they ask, they have like a point setting of 5 points. So you want to make sure that you're as thorough as possible. And then you'll see some benefit information. The 401 or the state has a pension. All positions have a pension with the state. So after working a certain amount of years, you can retire and have income afterwards. Just one less thing to worry about. You also get a lot of paid time off. A lot of state jobs are remote right now. So there's a lot of great benefits for working with the state. And then you'll see the contact information for the hiring unit. Sometimes the hiring manager will list their contact information so that you can reach out to make sure that you entered all your docs in correctly. You'll see the reporting location for the position, some information about your union, and then some EEO information. Here's a sample duty statement. So as you can see, it kind of goes over the schedule for the position. It lists the location, the working title, classification, the department's core values, the position's concepts, so kind of like a general idea of what you'd be doing. And then it goes into the day by day. So 25% of your day would be doing this, 15% will be doing this, 5% will be doing this. And these are the kinds of things that, like I said, you want to, if you've done them in the past or have experience doing them, you want to make sure that you show that on your resume because that's what they're going to be looking for. And then we have a link to the class specification. So that was on the job posting as well. This will tell you what the classification's definition is, what the typical tasks are again, and it'll also give you the minimum qualifications for the position. So it'll let you know, it'll give you an idea on if you're actually qualified for the position. So with the state, we have to adhere by the minimum qualifications when hiring someone. So you just want to make sure that you show that you meet these qualifications on your resume. And then it'll kind of give you an idea of the knowledge and abilities you should possess as a state worker working in this classification. So after reviewing the job statement, the job posting, the duty statement, the class specs, if you're ready to move on, you can click the apply now, but you can also save the position for later using the save job button right there. And then once you've completed your search and clicked apply, it'll take you to your CalCareers account so you can start applying to the position. And when you're in your CalCareers account, you can also upload documents for later. So when you're applying to a position, you'll be able to upload all your documents there. But if you just want to upload them into your CalCareers account so they're always there, you can do that as well. This way you don't have to find them on your computer. They're just in one place. You can also create application templates. You'll be able to do this after you apply to a job. You'll be able to save that application as a template. But if you'd like to go in and create a template before applying, you can do that as well here using the button on the bottom right. And then, so when you're creating your application template and you're going, there's an eligibility option. This is usually confusing for some people. So most of the time when you're applying to state positions, you'll have list eligibility. Unless you've spoken to HR and they've instructed you to click another option, most people will have list eligibility. And what that is when you take the exam for the classification you want to apply for, you'll get a rank and you'll be placed on a list. And as state workers, we can hire from that list. So we can only hire people who are on the list. You don't have to take the exam before applying, although you'll want to take it soon after. So on the next section when applying, you'll see education. So you'll want to fill this out if you've finished high school, or if you've not finished high school, what other languages you might speak, universities or schools you attended, any licenses you might have that will be relevant. Keep in mind that not every position will ask for your license, so you can provide them if you like, but you don't always have to provide them. You'll then go through your experience. So you'll write if you're a current state employee, or if you're not a current state employee. You'll go through your termination history, which you don't have to include. You'll also include the more important part, which is your employment history, by just adding an employment record. Here, the most important parts are to make sure that you have a clear title of what you've done. So you'll want to fill out the job title part. Oh, sorry, let me go back. And then you'll want to fill out the amount of hours that you worked in that position and the dates. So if you're working from now to present, make sure to type that. The company is important. You don't have to list your manager if you don't like to. And then for the duties performed, you want to make sure that you're really hitting on what's in the duty statement and the desirable qualifications, like I already mentioned. You'll also want to make sure, again, to read through those MQs and just include anything from the MQs that might not be in the duty statement or desirables. Next, we'll discuss kind of uploading those documents to your profile. So these documents could consist of, like we already talked about, resumes, college transcripts, cover letters, work samples, any relevant documents you might need for the application process, just so they're easily accessible. Once you click on the uploaded documents on the left side, you'll be able to add a document just by clicking on that box. And then you can select the type of document. Make sure to try to select the right option, just so we know what it is before we click on it. And then when you're going to apply for a job, like I already mentioned, you'll click I have eligibility. You'll have the list eligibility. And then you click apply for this job. You'll choose your template if you made one. So if you made one for the stationary engineer, you choose that, and then it'll automatically populate. Or you can choose blank application. And if you choose the blank application, you'll be able to turn it into a template at the end. So once again, the list eligibility should automatically be checked from the template. And then the job title will automatically populate when you click apply. So you don't have to worry about filling in that box. And then you'll just click save and continue. And then you go through your experience and just try to make sure that everything is still accurate, or if you need to update anything to include information that's relevant to this position. So templates are really nice, but you want to make sure that you're changing your resume to fit the current position you want to apply for, just so you stand out. And then you'll click save and continue. And then you'll go through the application package and you'll upload the necessary documents. So some positions also have a statement of qualifications that you'll need to write, and that's just a few questions that the hiring managers are using just to kind of test your knowledge of reading and writing. And usually it's a page to 3 pages. So you'll write that and title it appropriately, and then make sure to also use the correct font and that they ask for it in the correct font size, because they're real sticklers for formatting too. So you want to format it in the way that they would like. So after clicking the upload button, it'll pop up a window where you can select the type of document again, and then select the document that you'd like to upload. If it's already in your CalCareers account, you can upload it from there. You can just choose from your CalCareers account, or you can choose it from your computer with the upload new file button. So at the end, like I said, you'll just review all your contact information is correct, the general questions have been answered correctly. You'll make sure that all your education and licensure is listed, your termination history, your employment history, any documents that you'd like to upload again. And then at the very end, you'll check these two boxes. If you don't check these two boxes, you won't be able to submit your application electronically. Some people miss this part. So just make sure to check those and then just submit it. And then, like I mentioned, you can also apply by mail and you'll be able to download your application and print it off or fax it. So once your application is complete, you can start looking for the exam that you need to take. So like I said, you don't have to take the exam before you apply, but you want to make sure that you take it either before or soon after, so that you obtain that list eligibility. If you're unsure on whether or not you meet the MQs, you can always reach out to HR too so they can assist you in seeing what kind of classification might be best. So this is very similar to searching for a job. You'll click the search for exam and assessment option, and you'll just search for the keywords. So if you're applying for a stationary engineer, you'll type in stationary engineer, and then it'll pull up the bulletin. And here you can read more information about the class in the bulletin, and then there'll be a blue link to actually pull it up. And it'll pull up all this information about the bulletin, and it kind of all came up. And then, so it'll go through the minimum qualifications again. It'll go through the knowledge and abilities. It'll go through the eligibility list. And then there'll be a taking exam portion where there'll be a link to the exam. So right there on the 4th page, you can see that there's a link. That'll be the same with all bulletins. It might not be on the 4th page every time, but there'll be a link to take the exam within the bulletin. And then you'll have some more contact information if you're confused on what the exam consists of or what you might need to do. You can always contact HR again. And then there's just some more general information. And then this is kind of like what an exam will look like. So it'll have the general information. You'll fill out the affirmation statement saying that you're the one taking this exam on the 1st page. And then it's just like a self-assessment. So like you can see the first question here, lead and oversee the work of skilled and semi-skilled workers. Select one of that relates best to the length of your experience. So you'll select that, and then you'll select the one that best relates to the frequency of your experience. And that's how most exams are. There's only a few exams that are actually like assessment based that'll ask you questions regarding your English or math skills, or even sometimes if you're doing an engineer position, they'll ask you questions about generators and stuff. So once you're, aside from those bulletins, there's also online bulletins that you'll see that are from CalHR. So like the AGPA or the Office Tech, when you click it, it'll take you to a screen that looks like this, and you'll just click continue. And you'll adhere to all the terms and conditions. And then once you do that, you'll be able to press continue again. And then there's an EO form and some disability information that you can choose to fill out. And then you also have to fill out a user profile. And then it'll ask you some questions just to make sure that you do meet the minimum qualifications. So you'll want to fill those out. And then you'll be able to take the exam. And those ones are online. So it'll just ask you but it looks exactly the same as the paper exams. So your application package documents, your STD 678 supersedes your resume. So you always want to make sure that you submit that. You can submit your resume as extra, but you want to make sure that you submit your 678. If you're mailing in your exam or mailing in an application, you have to have your 678. The supplemental documents may or may not be required, so read the job posting carefully. Most job postings, like I already mentioned, will require the SOQ, the supplemental questionnaire, and that'll be under the application required documents, and you'll be able to see like I said, what the manager requires as far as formatting goes. So most of the time it'll be like Arial 12-point font, but sometimes they switch it up. So just make sure that you read carefully and format your document the correct way, or you could be disqualified. And that kind of wraps up everything. And I know I threw a lot at you, so we have a ton of time for discussion, about an hour. And Miriam will send you guys this presentation at the end. And we also have some other helpful resources if you just want to reach out and see what else we have. We have some more information on how to take the exam, on how to apply. So if you just want some other documents, we can send those your way too. Currently, we have 19 job openings up. It's a bit slow right now because of the new budget sent out by Governor Newsom. So we have a lot fewer positions available right now than usual, but I know that in the coming months, it'll probably jump back up. So you can use this QR code if you want to scan it with your phone to view our current positions, or you can just go on Cal Careers and search for the Department of General Services. And then you can stay connected with us on our link through our LinkedIn page, our Facebook page, our Twitter page. And then also if you just want our email, it's, oh, let me go back. It's dgsrecruitment@dgs.ca.gov, and I'll put it in the chat too.
Thank you so much, Austin. We did have a number of questions come through the chat, so we can start there whenever you're done typing and ready.
Yep. And yeah, that sounds great.
Oh, okay. The first question is a bachelor's degree really required for state jobs? And what if somebody is a few months out from graduation?
So a bachelor degree is usually not required for a position. So for instance, the Associate Governmental Program Analyst, um, it requires a bachelor degree or 4 more years of experience. So most of the time positions will just require extra years of experience in lieu of not having the bachelor's. If you're 6 months away from receiving your bachelor's, you can still be considered for the position, but they won't be able to hire you until your degree is done. So they won't be able to appoint you until your degree is finished. Or if you have more experience, they can count that and part of your bachelor's. So if you have 3 years of your bachelor's done and an extra year of experience, that'll count as the 4 years needed for the minimum qualification.
Great, thank you. Somebody has asked to see the QR code again, if you wouldn't
Yeah.
mind going back to that one. And another question that had come through is what's the timing of the process from application through the completion of the hire?
So most departments are pretty slow. It usually takes anywhere between 1 month to 2 months. It depends. It also depends on the position that you're applying for. So when you're applying for a position, it'll have a final filing date, and I can kind of go back. Let me see if I can go back to show you. I'll go back to the QR code, but I'll skip back to. Dang, there's a lot of slides. So here you can see the position has a final filing date of, my screen's a little small, but 4/22/24. So the sooner the final filing date is, the sooner the hiring manager will start to look at the documents. So most of the time, hiring managers can't look at documents until the final filing date ends. So a lot of positions will run for a month, and if you apply in the first day it posts, you'll have to wait a month for the position to finish flying, and then around 2 weeks for the hiring manager to look through the documents, and then it goes to HR for a couple weeks. And then usually they make an offer at that point. So it's anywhere between 1 to 2 months, usually depending on when the final filing date is for the position. And then let
Great,
me skip
thank
back to
you.
that QR code.
Another question that came through is whether it's necessary to have different resumes for each application.
So it's not necessary. So like a lot of the office technicians and AGPAs, they'll be pretty similar. But the duty statement can fluctuate. So you just want to make sure that you go. Sorry. You want to make sure that your resume accurately reflects what the duty statement is. So you can use a blanket template for a lot of positions, but you'll have a better chance at getting the position if you kind of try to relay your information as it relates to the position you want to apply for. And we can help you with that too. So if you reach out with your resume and say like, hey, I want to apply to this job, I just don't know if my resume kind of meets those qualifications or would look good to a hiring manager, you can reach out to us for those kind of questions and we can try to help you.
Great, thank you. Irene has a question and would like to come off mute to ask it.
Sure.
Oh, hey there. I was curious about the minimum qualifications because I work as a career coach and there's been some questions that I haven't been able to answer. I'm wondering, so say the job says you need to have, like 5 years doing X. And on the person's resume, do they need to put, say, under every job list, or not resume, but for their 867 or whatever that document that looks like a resume is, do they need to put for every job, like did X, did X, did X, going back 5 years, if that's the requirement? Do they need to be that obvious in terms of that they met them, or what's advice? Because I have a concern that folks are getting kicked out because they don't appear to show minimum qualifications.
So, if a candidate has multiple positions and they have like a year in each position, they have 5 positions with like a year of experience in each one, but it's all like in the same field.
Mm-hmm.
I think you would still want to try to accurately show your duties as they relate to the minimum qualifications. So if for the associate governmental program analyst, you need 4 years of experience doing like analytical work. You want to make sure that your positions show the analytical work. So if you have 2 years working as I know that they're allowing, so you have 2 years of experience teaching, and then you have 2 years of experience working in a library doing reports. You can just make sure that you're relaying what analytical work you did in each of those positions. And a lot of times it is good to use keywords because a lot of analysts won't kind of like look into detail what the
Right. Well, that was my question.
were.
So like, should they use the exact wording in the job description? Like, let's say, 5 years of analyzing budget documents, and like in your example, they have 5 jobs of 1 year each. On each job, would they have a bullet point that says analyzed budget documents, analyzed budget documents?
Yeah, they would definitely want to do that just because it's sometimes state workers don't like read between the lines, so it's like they'll cancel people out if they don't think the work was analytical. So it's good to just say it sometimes.
So what I hear you're saying, and this relates to other questions in the chat, is in terms of the minimum qualifications, like make it super blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
That you exactly that thing that the minimum qualifications says.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, next question. Are there remote part-time jobs available? And if so, in which departments?
I'm not sure of a ton of part-time jobs, but you could definitely search for part-time positions on CalCareers. I think they recently updated it so you can also look for remote positions there, but I do not know of any off the top of my head. There are definitely still a lot of hybrid positions with the state, but fully remote positions are going away with most departments. There's still a couple departments that are fully remote. I don't know their names off the top of my head, but most positions are in the office at least 2 days a week. There was like a government order that went out because they're trying to help downtown businesses and stuff. So most places aren't fully remote anymore.
Okay, thank you. This is a longer question. I'm just going to read it off. In the private sector, the list of requirements for the role are most often desired, and they've been trained to apply even if they don't meet the minimum requirements. This attendee's taken a webinar with the federal government that has indicated that minimum requirements are real and you won't move forward if you don't meet the minimum requirements. What is the status with the state of California relating to that?
It's the same. So we can't hire you unless you meet the minimum requirements. So if you take the test and you're for some reason you don't meet the minimum requirements, we have to like withhold your status, and then you can't retake the test for a year. So just to like save yourself some time, if you're unsure on whether or not you meet the minimum qualifications, you can always reach out to us or a different HR department, and they can go over your resume.
This is great. I'm really hearing that the HR department is available to help applicants, and that I wasn't aware of that before. So this is really great that people aren't just out there on their own struggling through, that people can reach out for support as needed.
Yeah,
But if
especially the Department of Employment, EDD. They do a lot of events like this too, and then they also they do resume workshops as well. So you can always reach out to them.
Great, thank you. More questions from the chat. Is this process similar to applying for a city in California, such as applying for City of San Francisco?
I think it's pretty similar. I know that their exam process is a little different, um, just like because they look a little different. But I think with the city and the county, when you take the exam, you get better email alerts. Most of our email alerts go to your CalCareers account. You can choose to have the notifications um, hit your email too, but you would get a lot of them because of all the state jobs for that classification that come up. But I think it is pretty similar. The county and city still have minimum qualifications that you have to adhere to before they can hire you. They still use exams, and then they still have a merit-based hiring process. So um, they score interviews, they score applications, they have screening criteria. It's very similar.
Thank you. Is the salary range that's listed in the job posting the gross or the net amount?
It's the gross is before taxes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it would be the gross. And like I said, you always start at the bottom of the range unless you have really high qualifications. You can request a ham, which is a higher above minimum, but it's rare that they get approved, and it depends on the department. But like I said, getting in with the state's always nice because you get that 5 to 7% raise, and it caps when you get to the top of the range. But the top of the range changes too, year to year, depending on when your contract. It's usually, I think they redo contracts every 3 years. So usually the ranges go up every 3 years too, just to fight with inflation and cost of living.
That's the same with City of Oakland jobs, that there's a cost of living increase typically that's negotiated by the union with each contract. Okay, more questions coming in. For the resume that you attach, is it okay if it's longer than 2 pages?
Yeah, most of the time though, the hiring manager will just look at your 6, 7, 8, but the resume can be useful for the analyst that does your minimum qualifications. So if you have 1,800 characters within the 6, 7, 8 for each job to fill it out. But if for some reason you'd like to include additional information in a resume that you might not include in your minimum qualifications, we can use that to help determine if you meet the minimum qualifications. But like I said, the hiring managers get a lot of applications. So if they don't ask for your resume, most of the time they won't look at it. They'll look at the 6, 7, 8, and they'll screen you based. They're always going to screen you based off your 6, 7, 8. They can't use your resume to screen you. So if you have extra information on your resume that you're hoping would help with the screening, they won't use it in the screening. They might look at it to decide. Well, I guess they can't really use it to decide whether or not they'd like to hire you because it's all merit based. So it goes off your 6, 7, 8, and then if you score well enough using your 6, 7, 8, then you move on to interviews. If that makes sense.
Okay, so that 6, 7, 8 is really the document to focus on. Does the human resources help have any costs either in the process or in the future once a person finds the job?
Like, does it cost money to ask for help?
I believe that's the question.
No, you can, no, depending on the analyst, they might not be willing to provide as much help, but there's lots of departments in HR, like recruiters or exam analysts that are more than willing to provide assistance, and it's completely free to the public, just educating you guys on how to get a state job and um, positions that might be best for you, and then upward mobility paths. But yeah, there's no cost required.
All right. Is the online application timed?
No, you can spend as much time on your online application as you want. I don't even think that the online exams have a time limit. I could be wrong because I haven't taken one in a long time, but I know like a lot of exams are still like the paper exams, like I showed earlier, and those definitely don't have a time limit. You can print those off or fill them out in Adobe PDF. Um, so you can just take your time.
Okay. Do you have to be a California resident to apply?
You do. We are only able to hire California citizens, and even for remote jobs, you have to be a citizen of California. Your home location has to be a California residence. Unless for some reason you get in as a contractor, we can hire contractors that live out of state. But we don't, like, that's a separate process.
Okay. And how would someone go about requesting resume assistance from the Human Resources Department?
Yeah, so like I said, every JC has a hiring unit contact at the bottom of it. You can try reaching out to the hiring unit contact. They should answer. If not, you can look on the department's page for an HR contact. Like I said, EDD and has really great programs. DGS has really great programs. So you can either use the email that I put in chat, and I can repost it as we've gotten a lot of questions. I'll just repost it real quick. And you can use our email anytime you want to ask questions. And there's several analysts that check the box, so you should hear back between 24 to 48 hours.
You said every JC has the analyst information at the bottom. Is that job classification, job card?
Yeah, sorry, I get used to the acronyms. I shouldn't have done that. It stands for the job control. So when we looked at earlier, if I go back, I'll just go back to so many. Oh, shoot. There it goes. Yeah, so when you click on a job posting, you'll see the classification title, and then right under the department, it'll show a JC number. So this is a job control. The posting is considered a job control, and then the number that corresponds to the job control is listed there. So if you like a position and you're not ready to apply, or someone just told you about it and they have the job control number, you can save that number and search for that specific position later. So that's that JC number. And then every job posting will have a hiring unit contact near the end.
Okay. Someone had asked, can we take the assessments for fun? And somebody replied, you can take any assessment you want. And once you pass, you can look for all the posted jobs you're eligible for.
Yeah, so it is tricky with online exams though, because technically with the online ones, the paper ones still go through a department and they assess your MQs, but the online ones, you kind of assess your own MQs. So like I said, if you're not sure whether or not you meet the MQs, you can apply for positions, but if they decide you don't meet the if the analyst decides you don't meet the minimum qualifications, then you might not, then you might get taken off the list, and then you won't be able to retake it for a year. And we've had lots of times where a candidate will be like 2 weeks for meeting the minimum qualifications, but they take the test too early, which is really unfortunate, and then we're not able to hire them. And it happens quite a bit. So if you're like unsure about the amount of time that you have, or unsure about whether or not your experience meets it, it's always better just to ask an exam analyst or someone that can help you in the state, just so you don't have to wait like a year to retake it. But yeah, other than that, you're correct. You can go and look at any position as long as you meet the MQs, take the exam, and then you can start looking for positions. You can also apply to positions before you take the exam. So if there's a position you're interested in, you know that you meet the MQs, but you don't have enough time to take the exam, you can apply to it and then come back and take the exam. But you just want to make sure to take it sooner rather than later, as it'll delay the hiring process if you don't have it done.
Okay, another question. What if I don't have experience? Can I still apply? Are there positions that do not require experience?
Yeah, there's some I'd have to look at the office assistant. There's some HR positions that you can get in because you probably have experience through like either, well, for instance, sorry, I'm mumbling a little bit. So for the staff service analyst, that's an entry level position. You either need 4 years of school or you need 4 years of experience. So if you have, and that's like clerical, it can be experience in almost anything. So if you've worked at McDonald's for 4 years, or you've gone to school for 2 years and worked at McDonald's for 2 years, you can use that to apply for the position. And that one's the staff services analyst. The other one that could be a pretty entry level is office assistant, off the top of my head. But there's a lot of research positions that only require a degree or only require experience. So, because I know lots of people in school don't have a lot of experience, so we do hire just based off education. The accountant trainee is another one that is just based off your education.
Okay, another question. Is it worth applying if you don't meet the minimum qualifications? And how much computer parsing happens with the applications?
So there's not really any computer parsing with the 678. It's all done manually. So the hiring manager will look at it. Most of the time, the hiring manager doesn't know the MQs. So you could get an interview and you might not meet MQs. That happens a lot. So, but if you don't meet MQs, you won't be able to get the position. That's pretty. You have to meet MQs to be able to be appointed with the state. So if you're unsure, if you don't want to waste your time applying, like if there's an SOQ and you don't want to waste your time writing it, if you know you might not meet the MQs, just reach out to an analyst and then they can try to help take a look at your resume to see if you'd meet the MQs.
Okay. Somebody mentioned that there's a path in called LEAP, LEAP, for people with disabilities. Could you talk some more about that, Austin?
Yeah, so it's not for every classification, but there are lots of classifications that offer a LEAP pathway, like Irene mentioned. And it's just the exam is similar. It's just for if you, like she said, if you have a disability, and there's a whole LEAP process that you have to go through to get LEAP certified before you could take the exam. And I could try to, if you do think that you'd be eligible for LEAP, you can reach out to me and I can try to send you more information on that program, but I just don't have the information on the top of my head. Although when you're searching for exams, like I said, some classifications will have a LEAP option and some classifications won't have a LEAP option.
Okay, I believe that catches us up with the questions in the chat. So if folks have more questions, please drop them in the chat or you're invited to come off mute and ask directly.
And like I said, if you think of any questions afterwards, you can always reach out to me via email, reach out to my team via email. Thank you I know I just kind of typed them in there, so I appreciate you.
Yeah, I've been reposting. Okay. Is it necessary to upload maybe that's foreign diplomas with the translation?
Yeah, so what you'll actually have to do for a foreign diploma is if you're using it to meet MQs, and only if you're using it to meet MQs. So if you're um, the associate governmental program analyst is 3 years of experience and a degree, or I believe it's 7 years of experience. So you can have 4 years of experience or 4 years during your degree. If you have 7 years of experience, you don't necessarily need to turn in your education. If you do need the education to meet the minimum requirements, and it's a foreign degree, you'll have to get it evaluated by a place that evaluates foreign degrees to make sure that the classes are equivalent to classes that you take at a university here. I don't know. I don't know if the process costs anything usually, but if you reach out to an exam analyst, they can send you which kind of are the agencies that we usually use for accreditation. So then you can have some options to reach out to for your foreign transcripts. And if you used our email, we have a list too, so we can send you that list so you can reach out to them.
Okay, I'm just giving a couple more minutes for any additional questions to come through. Thank you, Veronica. Just posted the information for who to contact to learn more about the LEAP pathway.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I just have one question.
Go ahead.
Will there be a replay posted for this at all?
Will there be a what? Sorry.
Replay?
Yeah, so I think Miriam actually recorded it. So you're gonna send the recording to the participants, or are you gonna post it anywhere?
That's right. There's a recording of this session, and I will email that out along with the slide deck. So you'd be able to zoom in closer on some of these slides. I know that some of them are small type. So I will email that out to everybody who registered for this session. It will also be, the recording will be uploaded to Oakland Public Library's YouTube channel. But just keep an eye out on your email early next week for the recording along with the slide deck. And it looks like another question came through. Can you talk a little bit more on the contracting side for people who live outside of California?
So I don't know the process. Usually you have to kind of know someone to get in as a contractor. But if we're like looking for like a service or consultation, like right now we have a couple HR consults in our department that are contractors that live out of Hawaii. They work for CPS. So if you have a job with like a contracting agency that we work with, but usually contractors have to also get their own contract. So like I said, you have to kind of know someone who you can talk to kind of like get that contract moving forward. It's kind of hard to get in as a contractor with the state because we also have to go through different bid processes to make sure that you would be like the best option as a contractor. So it's definitely a harder option. I'm gonna post a link to our, we have another how to get a state job coming up, presentation coming up next week with the Department of General Services. So there'll be a link on LinkedIn, and then you can click that to Eventbrite if you guys would like to join that one as well. But it'll be the same information. But if you missed anything or just would like more information, you can join that one.
Do you know about any events where they're talking about how to get a state job through the bidding process as a contractor?
We haven't so far. I could write it down and ask my manager if that's something that we might be interested in setting up. But yeah, I can definitely, I'll ask her about that. So then maybe we can do that in the future.
And do all these things apply roughly to federal jobs as far as you know?
I don't know much about the federal. I think it's very similar though. So they also have minimum qualifications that you have to adhere to. I think, I mean, you can live anywhere in the state, but sometimes I know that you have, or I mean, anywhere in the country, but I don't know how many fully remote positions they have. I think a lot of times you still have to go into the office somewhere. I know that the hiring process is a little, I think it's a little more strenuous to apply with the federal government, but I haven't really applied with them, so I'm not 100% sure. But they have very similar procedures.
All right. It seems like our questions are winding down. I'm going to stop the recording, and then if there's anybody who wanted to ask something that can be off the record, you're welcome to do so.